Hello, everybody. So today we are going to be reading His Infatuation, Slasher's Ex-Listener, Book 3. We are currently in Chapter 1, but we's going to go back a chapter for the purpose of the recap. So the recap, luckily, is short and sweet. I'm going to add a little bit more background to it so it makes a little bit more sense for the ones who don't quite remember. So basically, we ended up falling asleep. Obviously, Freddy's in our dreams. He terrorizes us. And we basically have a semi-argument slash back and forth with Freddy. Eventually, our body kind of gives up on us and just kind of falls. Not to the ground because luckily Freddy catched us. But he catched us from falling, thankfully. Just out of the pure exhaustion that we had, which eventually, after a little bit back and forth till we couldn't take it anymore, he let us fully rest with no nightmares, and he didn't bother us whatsoever, which was great for us. The bad thing is, eventually, time passes. Norman randomly woke us up, worried and asking all of these worrisome questions, and then blaming some stuff on Freddy and whatnot, just spewing back and forth. And then you, half asleep, look to Mikael for, an answer. And he basically explains to us that we missed our alarm and we overslept, which is fine. It's normal when you're that exhausted, right? Eventually, Norman kept talking and not really listening to our words, to which we were like, do you not trust us? And to which basically he had to quickly backtrack, and then he turned into what I call a sad potato. Eventually he left when you asked to get changed. You got changed, dressed, you went downstairs, you had some breakfast with the slashers, chatting, and then randomly a random knock came from the door, which got all the slashers on edge. And you suggested and eventually did open the door. So now we're about to find out who was at the door, or, more than one person who was at the door. We're about to find out. Which, I know one or two people got their guesses right from the last video, so, I'm gonna put y'all on the screen. Good job. Good guesses. Hopefully I didn't make it too obvious, but it's fine. Anyways, for warnings, getting into this story, there will be mentions of a killer / their death and how they killed their victims, or how they did it. Creepy doll. A tinge of lust, guys. I think you're gonna like it. It's with Mikael and us. Threats, but more verbal threats than anything. And then just normal slasher stuff. Happens every video, so I'm gonna just say normal slasher stuff because it's just normal. So you guys, we also have a new character here as well, so be excited, guys. Be excited, because things are about to get crazy. Well, not this video, but definitely the next video is gonna be a little crazy, guys. It's okay, I don't want to spoil nothing. Anyways, y'all been warned. Chapter 31. Walking together. Billy? Stu? You stammered in surprise, not expecting them to knock at the slasher's front door and greet you so enthusiastically. How long have you been standing there? Well, we already know your usual waking hours, so we were just waiting for you to get ready. Billy eagerly explained. Hugging you from the side, Stu held one of your hands between his and gave it a gentle squeeze instead. We were wondering if you'd like to walk over to the university together, with us instead of the others. Stu offered warmly, trying to be more civil and calm than Billy, due to the fact that his friend was acting extremely overexcited. Sure, you nervously replied, pink coloring your cheeks as you attempted to calm your sporadic heartbeat. Just let me tell the others about this real quick. You! Norman angrily snapped from behind you, recognizing Billy and also recalling their last fight. What are you two doing here? Jesus Christ, you sure are slow. Billy spoke with a superior smirk, sarcasm dripping from his tone while he rolled his eyes and retaliated smugly. Isn't it obvious? Stu joined in smoothly, watching you turn around to face the others and therefore break the hand holding in the process. We were wondering if YN wanted to walk to the university together. We do go to the same one after all. Billy arrogantly added, amused by his remark and purposely trying to aggravate Norman. Oh, give me a break. The dark-haired male shouted at them in disgust, stomping his foot and easily taking the bait to become provoked. As I previously recall, you don't actually go to the same one as her. Hannibal politely interjected, leaning against the front door's frame with folded arms. You just wormed yourselves in between the lines like the lowlives you are, and then cheated your way through the system to fit in with the other students. So, who cares? Stu casually remarked, shrugging it off before tossing the psychiatrist a proud grin in return. In fact, I think us being able to do excuse me. I think us being able to sneak in the first place makes us even smarter. Damn straight. Billy agreed wickedly, high-fiving Stu whilst the two of them behaved uncaring towards the others and waited for you. Oh, how I'd love to just take you both out right now and be done with it. Pennywise threatened in a malicious manner, insanely smiling after he'd materialized a little further down. Okay, you interrupted with a strained, high-pitched tone of voice, cutting into their conversation before it carried on longer. I think that's enough for one morning, don't you think, guys? Don't you think, guys? Enough for one morning. Sweetie, I can go on and on and on and on. Yeah. I get it. You cut across Penny with major sarcasm of your own, raising your eyebrows at the same time and doing your best to regain your usual composure. Now, can I please head out to my uni classes? I'm going to be late at this rate. Of course, mi amor. My apologies in case I've caused you any future problems. It was never my intention to do so. Hannibal responded respectfully, holding one of your hands in his and pressing his lips lightly on against the top. Oh, you needn't go that far. You stuttered in embarrassment, your pink cheeks brightening due to the very I forgot how to say that word. I'm gonna say cautious. Yeah. Cautious reply and very sweet kiss. I'm sure I can still make it in time. That's if they actually let you leave. Stu murmured under his breath coldly, him and Billy shooting the others an icy glare. They will. They're just concerned about my safety, that's all. These delusions are eating you alive, girl. You spoke soothingly, keeping everyone calm, or everything calm, and heading back into the house for a split second to grab your backpack. Then you stepped outside again, sending them a soft smile and showing them that you were ready. See, I'm fine. Everything's fine. If you say so. Billy commented uncertainly, narrowing his eyes at the others and not trusting them whatsoever. This isn't fair. Norman childlessly disagreed, clenching his fist and twitching from increasingly strong fury. They don't deserve to spend time with YN. Hannibal, help me out here. YN requested full-on freedom and rights to future life choices by herself once agreeing to live with us. Therefore, we can't terminate our so-called hypothetical contract. Hannibal tactfully answered, speaking in a civilized fashion and handling the conflict with his usual care. Oh, come on! Norman yelled at him, turning his attention over to Mikhail and deciding to get him involved as well. Mikhail, you agree with me, right? Right? The pale-faced killer stared silently at the ground, contemplating on how to answer. On one hand, he absolutely adored walking with you to the to the university with you, because it meant him being able to stay by your side and be as close as humanly possible. Plus, he also got to spend more time with you than the others. But then again, walking with you this morning meant he'd have to put up with those two unwanted admirers, who he'd completely and utterly come to hate. And the most annoying thing was that he couldn't do anything about them either, because otherwise you'd grow upset with him, and that was the last thing he wanted. So, even though he agreed with Norman, he had to follow through with Hannibal's words instead, giving a short shake of his head and gripping his kitchen knife from insatiable frustration. "You're kidding me!" Norman miserably wailed, not expecting Mikhail to let you go so easily and comply with the others. As much as I hate that brat, I have to agree with him there. Pennywise brought up possessively, shifting over to his darker self as an unhinged grin danced across his facial features. Why should they have all the fun? It's bad enough that we all have to share. I mean, I don't even like any of you. Besides, those two mentally abused her for a few days ago. Any of you remember that? Oh, please, don't act like you're 100% innocent either. Billy shot back in a fiery fashion, eyeing Pennywise down with dislike before throwing him under the bus too. You treated YN even worse than we did, so don't even start. Billy, let's not start anything with them. Stu awkwardly muttered, averting his eyes away from the other slashers and attempting to avoid any further conflict. That's not what we came for now, is it? I guess not. His friend grumbled sulkily, agreeing with what Stu was suggesting, whilst also ignoring everyone else's stubborn attitude. But still, let's just walk over to the university together. You sided with Stu in an anxious manner, feeling nervous about the chaotic conflict between Norman, Mikhail, Pennywise, and the two about to walk with you to the local building. Can we? Of course we can. Stu agreed breezily, shrugging off the other slashers as he shot you a carefree smile instead. No problem. This is absolutely ridiculous, Norman frantically stated, stomping his foot and shaking his head from fury. I won't allow it. She's not allowed to. I forbid it. Norman, please don't do this. You mumbled with a guilty expression, embarrassment flooding through your veins while you tried to pacify them all. All I want to do is have a calm morning. Is that so much to ask for? No, it's not. Stu took your side lovingly, sending you another soothing smile straight afterwards. In fact, it's completely natural for someone like you to ask for such a humane request. Norman, that's enough. The intellectual psychiatrist icily told him off, raising his eyebrows at the complaining male and therefore scolding him. Don't you think you're bothering YN? She's going to be late for her psychology class now, and it'll be your fault, all your fault, because it was your insensitivity that caused this conflict to stir in the first place. It's their fault, not mine, Norman denied irritably, gritting his teeth and twitching from uncontrollable rage. Blame them, not me. Okay, let's not play the blame game today. You feebly laughed, brushing off Norman's frustration and instead deciding to just head over to the university. I don't have time. But we're not finished. Norman dragged on dramatically, his hand grasping your wrist and preventing you from leaving. Look, I'll be back by this evening, you patiently explained, your embarrassment growing exponentially whilst you avoided his hurt gaze, so don't even worry about it, okay? Pay no attention to him, Angelo mio. Hannibal calmly comforted you, breaking Norman's hold on you and moving him backwards. Spend any more time with us, however, and you will really be late to your psychology classes. That's a good point. You trailed off timidly, wondering if Norman would even survive the rest of the afternoon. I guess I'll catch you guys later. I can't say that. A presto bellissima. If I said that wrong, I am so sorry. I only can speak Spanish and English, guys. No es mi culpa. Bidding you farewell romantically, Hannibal wrapped his arms around your body and gave you a very gentle hug. The smartly dressed slasher resting his head on top of yours as he carried on, appreciating the moment. Please take care of yourself today. I will, thank you. You assured him warmly, hugging him in return before pulling away to leave. You guys take care of yourself too, won't you? Of course we will. Thank you very much for your consideration. You are far too kind to us. He complimented you with amusement, raising his hands as a wave whilst he watched you begin to walk away with the two unwanted admirers. Though, unbeknownst to you, Hannibal darkly narrowed his eyes, shifting his focus towards Mikael and Pennywise instead, the psychiatrist dipping straight back into his psychopathic state as he demanded their full-on attention. You already know what I'm going to ask the both of you. Yeah, you made it fairly obvious. You have the If I say this wrong, I'm so sorry. You have the subtlety of a train wreck, Lecter. I could see how you felt the moment she left the premises. It doesn't take a genius to figure out what you wanted us to do, idiot. All I care about is her safety, so keep an eye on those two. It's not Sweet YN I don't trust. It's them. You understand me? Don't let anything happen to her today. Oh, damn, they turn into the Terminators, or they turn into something like Jesus. Chapter 32. One hell of a coincidence. You walked over to the university with those two this morning? Laura commented curiously, Amber frowning in confusion while Cadence also looked relatively confused. I didn't know that you three lived that close to each other. We don't, you quickly panicked, taking a seat at your usual cafeteria table and worrying about just how perceptive your dark-haired friend could be. We just happened to bump into each other on the way. Complete and utter coincidence, that's all. That's one hell of a coincidence. Amber chipped in with a bewildered expression, picking at her lunch and sounding moderately suspicious. You sure you guys aren't the ones creeping YN out? You seem to be very interested in hanging out with her all of a sudden. We don't usually judge, so please don't take this the wrong way. It's just that recently, I'm pretty sure that YN would tell us if we were making her feel uncomfortable. Billy cut across Cadence coldly, his usual rude tone causing your eyes to widen from shock. So let her speak for herself, all right? Oh, I'm sorry, she nervously mumbled, averting her eyes to the side before glancing away and acting awkward. I didn't mean... Hey, leave Cadence alone. You defended her sharply, protecting your friend and glaring at both of your unwanted admirers at the very same time. She was only trying to keep the peace between everyone, so don't speak on my behalf like that. Billy, we talked about this. Stu cautiously reminded his friend, his voice low and his concerned gaze calming the other dark-haired male down. She's not going to like us anymore if you lash out, remember? Right. Billy replied unsurely, almost as if he didn't know how to interact with the group. I'm sorry, Cadence. I don't know what I was thinking. I'm not quite with it this morning. He's not very good with people. Stu informed Cadence and the rest of the girls quietly, his words and explanation sounding extremely disturbed whilst he spoke. Neither of us are. We're not really used to socializing, so I apologize in advance. Please bear with us. Of course. Cadence agreed at once, her compassionate personality shining through, while Amber and Laura nodded understandably. I'm very sorry to hear that. Let's all try to remain friends. That sounds like a wonderful plan. You sided with Cadence at once, shooting everybody a soft-hearted smile and trying to make sure that none of your friends were hurt by either Billy or Stu. It's almost time for us to get back to our psychology classes anyway. Amber hesitantly pointed out, clearing her empty plate and other things back into her tray before standing up. Yeah, we should probably clear up and make sure we don't go there late. Laura remarked politely, placing her food tray in the cafeteria's partially full sink and washing her hands straight afterwards. Good news, though. You brought up happily. brushing their uncomfortableness to the side and attempting to brighten the atmosphere up instead. I'll be getting my new cell phone tomorrow. We'll be able to text and call again, just like we used to. OMG, that's awesome! Amber exclaimed with excitement, flinging her arms around your body from the side and hugging you for a couple of minutes. I can't wait. I've been waiting to call you again for like ever. That's wonderful. Cadence warmly smiled, sharing Amber's excitement, while Laura also grinned and gave you a thumbs up. I missed messaging you. Can't wait to hear from you again. I can't wait to talk to you guys either. All I need to do is pick it up from the local post office tomorrow afternoon because I bought my new mobile online. You explained to your friends lightly, placing your food tray in the cafeteria's main sink before hoisting your backpack onto your shoulder and facing everybody fully. Oh, it's a click and collect instead of a express delivery then? Laura calculated in her usual clever manner, also preparing to leave for your next psychology class. Oh no, I did order it on express delivery. I just decided it would be quicker to pick it up on my way home, rather than have the coursers go to my specific address. You told them hurriedly, recalling how off the grid the slashers preferred to be. Growing a little too impatient there now, aren't we? Laura playfully teased, nudging your side and pretending to mess around, rushing over to the local post office instead of just waiting for said package to be delivered. You must be really excited. You could say that. Flashing an amused smile towards her in return, you faked feeling overexcited for your phone and listened out for the bell, saying goodbye to Billy and Stu once you've heard it, promising to walk home with them after classes, completing your afternoon sessions with your friends, and then finally making sure that Cadence, Laura, and Amber didn't notice Penny or Miguel in the early evening/late afternoon. You were almost as worn out as when you were spending time with Freddy the other night. Speaking of which, the Dream Demon was excessively more exhausting, demanding way more of your attention due to the fact that he supposedly lost some of your former time, placing the blame on you despite you passing out and not being your fault whatsoever. But even still, you managed to survive the sadistic slasher and recover from the former day, relieved that you could keep on handling the demonic male and also regain energy on the sidelines. See, that wouldn't work for me. That wouldn't work. Sorry, that's just not gonna work. Of course, Freddy wasn't too pleased, nor too happy, about you spending time with the unwanted admirers after your unexpected episode yesterday. But there wasn't much he could really do, apart from cry and complain about your decisions. So you just ignored him, heading down to the university the next morning and remembering that you'd promised Jason you'd visit him in Camp Crystal Lake the following Thursday late afternoon. Once class had wrapped up for the day, though that just made the Dream Demon even more pissed off, but there wasn't too much he could really even do about it. Considering you dropped by the camp was entirely out of his hands by this point, but by the time you and Jason shared between you both during Crystal Lake Woods or soldering around the edges of the lake, it meant that you and Jason got to spend time together. Whether it was strolling romantically along one another, playing childish games, the two of you were easily pleased. Easily. Then again, Jason wasn't exactly pleased when Penny, Mikael, Billy, and Stu all came up to pick you up from Camp Crystal Lake. But you didn't want the other four to feel left out. Well, you didn't want any other of your partners to feel left out, but you could already tell that it was nearly impossible for any of them to get along by now. Especially Freddy when it came down to Jason, Pennywise when it came down to Mikael, Norman when it came down to Billy. Guess some people aren't just meant to mix. At least the slashers didn't try to take each other out at the entrance or exit gate anymore. Once you said goodbye to Jason and given him your usual farewell embrace, you also gave him a sweet peck on the cheek, leaving the grounds with the others and heading towards the local post office to collect your brand new phone. You are now over the moon with your upgraded mobile, silently thanking Hannibal and the rest of your previously paying and the rest were previously paying. Well, after Mikael had originally given you your contacts back. With a smile, you finally added all of your mother and friends' numbers. Relief washing over your face at the moment you did, and solace filling your features after you saved each person's contact information individually. Every time you did, you grew slightly happier. Joy glowing throughout your heart as soon as you got to save everybody's personal details. But even though you had spent your Thursday early morning / late afternoon adding contacts and fixing your phone numbers, you carried on your Friday psychology classes, working through said lessons which you mentally prepared yourself for the rest of the day. You were delighted by your new means of communication, but that you weren't ready for excuse me, but what you weren't ready for was something to interrupt you on your way back home, completely and utterly out of nowhere. Chapter 33. Losing interest? So, I think that makes you the final one. You spoke to Rose cheerfully, adding her phone number to your contact list and shooting her a message to double check that you added it correctly. It must feel great to have everybody's number again, she warmly replied, tucking her phone back into her pocket after you'd both exchanged the proper information. Well, it's definitely a relief, that's for sure, you remarked in a light-hearted attitude, thinking back to when the others had broken your previous one, which, long short long to short answer, Mikael broke it. Are you walking home alone again today? Rose wondered with interest, hoisting her backpack on top of her shoulder once again once she'd finished pushing her textbooks inside. Oh no, Billy and Stu are walking me home, you informed her playfully, trying to make them seem even less strange in your friend's eyes. They were concerned about me feeling alone, that's all. Hey, if you ever feel alone, I'd be more than happy to walk home with you sometime instead, Rose offered kindly, grasping her bag's strap as she spoke. Crap, that would be even worse. That's really kind of you, but I wasn't even expecting Billy and Stu to want to walk me home with my English. That's really kind of you, but I wasn't even expecting Billy and Stu to want to walk home with me, you know? Pleasantly rejecting her request to the side, you released a light laugh and tried your best to seem polite in the process, not wanting to appear rude either. Oh, I understand. Well, if you ever need a friend to walk or talk to, you know how or where to find me. She brought up with a soft smile, gesturing over to her phone's pocket and wanting to show signs of support. Thanks, Rose. I remember that. You thanked her appreciatively, genuine gratitude flowing down from your tone as soon as she'd volunteered. That means a lot to me, honestly, especially after everything you've already done for me. Aw, are you talking about the notes? They were no trouble sharing, YN. Rose responded gently, tucking a strand of her hair behind her ear, while she reverted back to her kind-hearted self. I mean, they definitely seemed like something you needed at the time. Yeah, no kidding. Laughing over her comment wearily, yeah. You agreed with her words and gave her a high five, shoving your textbooks back into your bag due to your classes eventually coming to an end. I was genuinely surviving on those notes. Because if you hadn't offered or lent me them, moving house would have absolutely destroyed me from being able to keep up with everything. Well, you were always super nice to me in the past, so really, I was more than happy to return the favor. She told the truth in a friendly fashion, her reply melting your heart whilst the two of you walked through the hallway and made your way towards the university's front gates. Hey, any time. You promised Rose contently, giving her a hug from the side before noticing Billy and Stu waiting for you. Why, and it's so good to see you again, Billy exclaimed with excitement, bounding directly in front of you before flinging his arms tight right around your body and bringing you into a hug of his own. I guess that's my cue to leave. Rose smiled in amusement, giving all three of you a gentle wave after Stu had brought you into a tender embrace too. Thanks for keeping her company. Choosing his words carefully, Stu turned his attention over to Rose and acted as charmingly as he possibly could, clearly trying to win her over and defuse the bizarre bombshell that had been thrown between themselves and the rest of your friends. Hey, anytime, she teasingly joked, echoing your words from earlier before beginning to walk away. I'll text you soon, you hastily called after her, praying that she hadn't judged Billy or Stu's overly loving personality traits. Okie dokie. Rose reassured you with a playful nod, her not judgmental attitude calming you down and reminding you that at least her and Cadence weren't as suspicious as your other two friends. At least not as much anyway. So, how are you feeling today, YN? Stu inquired sweetly, cradling the right side of your face with the left palm of his hand and tilting your cheek in his direction, so that he could lovingly press his lips against yours straight afterwards. Yeah, what's up? You feeling alright? Billy piped up after Stu had unexpectedly kissed you. Oh, yeah, you stammered in shock, slightly stunned by Stu's intimate gesture, and struggling to hide your surprise. How about you guys? Is everything okay with you two? We're just fine, thanks. Stu pleasantly answered, watching Billy grow extremely emotional and clasp both of his hands over his mouth, tears pricking at either side of his eyes. Oh no, I'm so sorry, I didn't mean to upset you. You panicked frantically, worrying over Billy's mental state again and wondering what you did to set him off. I was only trying to be considerate and carry on the conversation. Oh, Stu, did you hear that? Billy bursted out dramatically, trembling from your next response and causing you to feel even more uncomfortable. She was trying to show us consideration. Oh, us, out of all people. She certainly was. Stu agreed in a caring tone of voice, comforting his friend by rubbing Billy on the shoulder and stifling an amused laugh. Told you she cares about us, mate. Excuse me. Told you she cared about you, mate. Whoa, now wait just a minute, you interrupted anxiously, your eyes widening at Stu's comment while also feeling put on the spot. I never said that I liked or disliked anybody. Did you think I hated you or something? Of course not. Billy told the truth with a soothing expression, nudging Billy's side and trying to keep the conversation from becoming too awkward. We knew before we'd even introduced ourselves in the uni's cafeteria that you'd fall in love with us and become our girlfriend. We knew for a fact. It was almost like fate. Oh, was it? You timidly mumbled, averting your eyes and feeling highly uneasy. Uh-huh. It was almost like destiny. Billy chimed in adoringly, clutching his chest with both hands and losing control of how overjoyed he truly was. I see. Stumbling over what to say, your grasp on your backpack's strap tightened, your self-conscious mindset steadily increasing whilst you thought over how to respond to something that unstable and disturbing. Well, why don't we just walk home now? Keep standing around the entrance gates like this and it'll start getting late, you know? She's got a point, Billy. We wouldn't want our beautiful YN catching a cold now, would you? Stu pointed out protectively, curling one arm around your waist and pulling you closer to him in the process. Obviously, that goes without saying. Billy sourly snapped back at him, sounding unbelievably hurt. Not only Stu's slight comment, but also the side cuddling at the same time. The fuck are you trying to say? Why, nothing. It's just that you were starting to act like you were slowly losing interest in YN's overall healthy state. Stu angelically continued, his spiteful comment throwing you off immediately. You're not losing interest. Now are you? Chapter 34. The Good Guy Dolls. I would never lose interest in YN, Billy icily retorted, gritting his teeth before coldly clenching his fist and glaring towards his friend. Never, ever. Whether she suffers from mental health issues, emotional health issues, physical health issues, or just overall health issues, that crap doesn't matter. So if you ever make jokes like that again, I'm sure he won't, you hurriedly interjected, secretly touched by Billy's response and how much warmth world from within his words. Right? You were just agreeing with my former remark, weren't you, Stu? Oh, yeah, sure. Reverting back to his awkward self, the other boy lost his arrogant attitude and shook his head ever so slightly, almost as if he just only almost as he only now just come back down to earth. You weren't just you weren't particularly judgmental or anything. Heck, you were dating A slashers as of late, so you had no room to talk. But his personality before he was like he switched person nearly entirely. It it was pretty unusual to say the least. Perhaps he dealt with mental issues like Billy did. You had no idea. Let's just start walking home. I'm sure we're just all very, very tired. You spoke in a soothing tone of voice, trying to calm the other two down and clear up any remaining tension. I guess. Billy's facial features filled with further disappointment. His voice sounding rather his voice sounding quietly wistful as he made it fairly clear that he desperately wanted to spend more time with you. Besides, we can always text. You worriedly consoled him, now growing more concerned due to how upset he quickly became. Like either late tonight or in the morning, you know? Of course we can. Stu replied to you contently, so don't worry too much about Billy. He just needs to teach himself the simple rules of socialism and self-control. He still doesn't know, or even hasn't learned where to draw the line and give in to other people's demands sometimes. Oh, I see. You timidly responded, doing your best to keep your calm as you started to walk back towards the slasher's house. That's understandable, I suppose. I'm sorry. We're supposed to be walking you home and keeping you company, but all we've done is so far is start a fight and make you feel uncomfortable. Stu apologized with a regretful smile, picking up on how edged you'd swiftly become and looking relatively bad about it. Hey, it was unintentional. You guys didn't mean any harm. You brushed it off as kindly as you could, wanting to lighten the tension and make it less stressful for the three of you. We're all just tired, and it's growing pretty late, so let's just go get home. You're far too sweet to SYN, but yeah, you're right. I think we all need to get some rest and unwind. He agreed gently, playfully poking your cheek with his forefinger before continuing his comment. You especially. Huh? Why me, especially? You asked in bewilderment, frowning from confusion while you wondered what he was basing that on. Did the two of them know about how you fainted in your nightmare? No. That was impossible. Only Freddie knew about that, right? Right? Well, even though Billy and I don't like it, you are dating six other men. Not only that, they're insane. They're dangerous. They're unpredictable. I mean, fuck. They could turn on you in less than a heartbeat. Stu commented seriously, his mood switching from amused to annoyed after you'd realized he was scolding you for your prior request. I mean, they could. But at the same time, plus your so-called free will could also be ripped away from you at any given moment. Billy maliciously pointed out, wanting to throw the others under the bus every time he possibly could. That that doesn't bother you? Not even in the slightest? Because you barely even got it back in the end. I don't want to talk about this. You denied them any sort of answer and fiercely shook your head, feeling oddly hurt by their prodding. I need to get back anyway. The streetlights are flicking on, and the others are probably worrying. You're about to continue your excuse and hurry on home when you spotted something lying against one of the walls in the alleyway. It wasn't destroyed, or dusty, or dirty, nor did it seem to be broken or busted either. It didn't look like anybody had trashed it, or thrown it away for a newer model. It even deliberately left it there. Still, though, where? Thinking hard, you stared firmly at said doll, taking note of its appearance, reading all of the doll's phrases, the company's name, absolutely everything. Feeling frustrated, you released a sigh and gave up, realizing that you didn't have a clue where this random doll came from. Perhaps as a recent kids cartoon that had aired on TV. Maybe it was some merchandise that got newly created and then discontinued mere days later. Luckily, Billy and Stu bent down either side of you, looking at said box doll with you. Perhaps they knew where the trinket was from and recognized the toy. Hey, Billy, Stu, do you either of you know anything about this specific series? It looked like this doll came from a children's TV show or something. You asked them curiously, your interest in the plaything sparking up as you patiently waited for their responses. Would they know? Would they not? Would they share the same question you had? Would they react? This was also. Hey, Billy, look. Stu snickered mischievously, raising his forefinger and pointing at the boxed toy with an unexpected smirk. Hold up. Isn't that one of those good guy dolls? You know, the ones that came from the Good Guy series? Losing his past anger, Billy grinned, also recalling where the childish thing had first made his appearance and finding it funny. So this did come from a children's cartoon, huh? He mused aloud thoughtfully, continuing to look at the strikingly sweet-looking doll. And this toy had unusually sharp blue eyes, too. Seriously, most toy eyes just had natural colors, but these dolls' eyes were 100% breathtaking. You almost couldn't look away. Yeah, this did come from a kid's show. Stu answered before nodding at Billy. His smirk still stretched across his face while he decided to explain altogether. That aired when we were all growing up together. I mean, the title of the toy gives it away, but the show was called The Good Guy. It must still be pretty popular. You assumed with interest, enjoying the conversation the three of you were having and forgetting about the time. Considering people are still selling, buying, and even tossing them away like this. Nah, not at all. Billy disagreed carelessly, shaking his head at your remark as he focused on you instead of staring at the doll. It used to be. Stu corrected his friend without hesitation, also directing his glance towards you and away from the boxed toy. Extremely popular. Aimed towards kids and made by extremely well-liked Playpals Toy Factory. Well-liked. Playpals Toy Factory? Mulling over his description of the industry, you placed your thumb and index finger underneath the tip of your chin whilst your curiosity increased. Sorry, but I can't say I've ever heard of it. Hey, don't sweat it. It's not your fault if you don't remember it. Most people don't remember childhood memories anyways, let alone a kid's cartoon. Billy breezily comforted, shrugging before he shot you a casual smile and carried on. But Stu's right. Even though the company's still going, it's not as admired as it was almost a decade ago. What? Why not? How so? You interrogated the matter firmly, wanting to learn more and understand said company's strange backstory. Because what gave it bad publicity. Stu smoothly added, supporting Billy's statement and finishing off the business short overview. Okay, what gave it bad publicity then? You requested to know with a fearful gaze, becoming more and more stressed by the minute. The good guy dolls did. Chapter 35. Friday Night Recycling. The good guy dolls did? You repeated blankly, surprise not just taking control of your voice, but your expression too. Are you telling me that a little kid's toy line can mess up the very same business that created them? Yep. Dipping his head as a quick nod, Stu agreed with you, a slight smirk sliding across his facial features once he'd seen how you responded, because in his eyes, you were just far too cute sometimes. Sounds like bullshit, I know, but their history is 100% legit. I'm not even joking. Sure, because that totally doesn't sound crazy or anything. You replied in a sarcastic fashion, rolling your eyes at his remark and wondering whether or not to actually continue with your interested inquiries. So then, how did the good guys ruin their publicity? Well, there wasn't much to them. They said 3 sentences, moved their heads and blinked their eyes. Along with the dolls, multiple accessories were made to be bought with them, such as a fireman, a soldier, and a construction worker set. Stu explained lightly, giving a small shrug straight afterwards and letting Billy carry on with the conversation. While being pursued by Mike Norris almost a decade ago, 30-year-old Charles Lee Ray, the same one that has been chased on the news, used it to start killing again. Placed it on different shelves, pretending that the doll was behind said murders. Billy continued with amusement, pointing at the good guy doll and finding the history funny. He called himself the Lakeshore Strangler back in the day, and was finally caught a few weeks ago, due to being betrayed by his friend and accomplice, Eddie Caputo. Seems like this Charles Lee Ray guy really was a dangerous serial killer, after all. You mused aloud dryly, taken aback by his dark history and cold-hearted past. You should take it home, Billy playfully commented, his remark throwing you off and surprising you. What? Why me? You explained in embarrassment, wondering why on earth those two wished for you to take it back home with you. It's a children's toy. Why the hell would I take a kid's toy home with me? It looks like something that was tossed and thrown away to begin with. I believe that would be what you would call recycling. Sue responded pleasantly, chipping in and causing you to feel even more awkward. Why not one of you guys? You both seem to want to know more about this toy than I do, you suspiciously brought up, narrowing your eyes before flashing another cautious look towards the doll. It might be a good learning experience, he replied breezily, a mischievous grin spreading across his face whilst he stifled a chuckle. A good guy experience. Billy joined in with a devious smile, finding your confusion entertaining while you bewilderedly laughed. Right. You spoke hesitantly, curious to whether or not you should actually take said doll. A learning experience. It's pretty strange though, isn't it, Stu? Billy inquisitively questioned, glancing back at the doll before growing puzzled again. I mean, if they died all those years ago, then how come there's one here? That doesn't really make any sense, and it looks like it just got created, like it just got made. Really? You guys can just tell from that one? You asked nervously, hugging the sides of your arms while you attempted to feel less freaked out by the child's toy. You too can tell when it's recently been created? Uh-huh. That's definitely made as of late. Just look at it. There's not a single scratch or dirt on that thing. Sue mentioned with a skeptical glint, frowning at the doll and finding it that strange. Doesn't that seem oddly bizarre to you? I mean, I guess. You decided quietly, averting your eyes before pushing your concern to the side. Perhaps I should take it home. For recycling purposes, hang on. How do we know this thing isn't stolen? Stopping yourself from picking up the box, you fretted about the item's origins or whether you should actually take it back or not. Well, it looks to me that this thing just got thrown away. Billy mewed thoughtfully, tilting his head to the side a little bit and checking how clean the box seemed to be. Seriously? You sighed? Seriously? You sighed, raising your eyebrows whilst worrying. This doesn't give you any horror movie vibes? We find a suspicious-looking doll in the middle of a weirdly long alleyway, and it seems to be the very last of its company's toy line? You may have a point there. Stu devilishly chuckled, a smirk sliding across his face after he heard you say that. Still, though, I still can't help but be interested in said doll. Why would somebody make a good guy doll when they died out so long ago? Stu's got a point. This looks brand new. When the good guy dolls lost popularity years ago, the Playpals Toy Factory stopped creating them back in 1988. Billy stated with an amused tone of his own, standing up before leaning against the wall's building with his arms crossed. Stopped creating them in 1988? You echoed in a stunned voice, your eyes widening at his explanation, not being able to believe it. But that was so long ago. How come there's one right here then? Who knows? Who can say? Both males answered you at the same time, both of their responses being nonchalant and casual as the two of them shot you an extremely smug smile. Perhaps the company's bringing them back? I doubt it. You scornfully scoffed, picking up the box toy once you digested the history fully. I think some families just tossed it away because their kid didn't want it anymore. Damn, that's brutal. Stu declared with another grin, finding your slight insult towards the toy hilarious. Who knows? The doll might still work. You never know. I'll try it out when I get home. If it's this clean, it still probably does. You tiredly decided, glancing up at the sky and noticing how dark the clouds had suddenly become. Need any help carrying it home? Seems to be a little too heavy for you. Billy asked worriedly, holding his arms out and offering to carry it for you. Oh, sure, thank you. You politely thanked him, passing the good guy toy box over into his arms before the three of you continued your walk back towards your house. I appreciate the help. So you two are really taking it home after all. Excuse me. So you really are taking it home after all. Throwing you a smug grin himself, Billy joined your side. You, him, and Stu carrying on. Well, if it really has been recently made, then it most likely does still work, which means someone from the university will want it, for nostalgia or something like that. You theoried cleverly, grasping the collar of your backpack while moving. So you're thinking about selling it then? Stu quizzed curiously, between his hands as he kept holding it between his hands as he kept moving on through the forest's secret trails. I mean, if it actually still does work. You timidly told them both, approaching your home before being engulfed into a bear hug by Mikhail straight afterwards. Well, that made you smile. Hi, Mikhail. Why, and welcome home. Flinging open the front door, Norman bounded through the doorway and also curled his arms around you, nuzzling against your neck whilst blatantly showing how much he felt for you at that very moment. Oh, thank you. You shyly smiled, you wrapping your arms around Mikhail's body in return, first before doing the same with Norman. It's good to see you guys too. Hopefully you guys had a good day as well. Well, I'd say that mine was pretty mediocre, as far as the day tends to go. Hannibal's polite voice called from the front door, the psychiatrist stepping towards you after Norman had literally leaped into your arms. Mediocre? Did something bad happen? You asked self-consciously, concern clouding your expression as you try to console him somehow. Oh, no, nothing like that. His gentle tone replied calmly, cradling the left side of your face with his right hand before his thumb delicately brushed over your cheek. My day just ends up repeating themselves, becoming rather repetitive and uninteresting, I suppose you could say. I see. Deciding not to question his dark response, you appreciated his affectionate embrace and instead continued to greet everyone. Are you sure you don't want us to come in and help you place this in your room, Ryan? Stu questioned with a worried look, holding your hand in both of his before giving it a loving squeeze. Place what in her room? Norman cut in coldly, hating Billy and Stu almost immediately. None of your business, Bates. Billy retorted back at him, recalling their last fight and still holding a grudge against Norman too, which basically Norman did a whole John Cena on his ass and just boom, it was funny. It's nothing to worry about, Norman, you hastily informed him, raising your hands up and shooting the dark-haired male a sheepish smile at the same time. It's just a kid's toy that the three of us found in an alleyway on the way back from the university. I thought that it looked cute. I decided to take it back here and learn more about it, just to see if anybody from the university was interested in buying/taking it off my hands. Oh, I see. Clapping his hands together, Norman cheered up, smiling back at you and losing his sour attitude as his mood changed completely. So you're just gonna sell it then? Only for nostalgia. No, you told Norman and the others timorously, feeling oddly embarrassed by the good guy doll and the box it was contained in. I'm not going to just keep on looking for things on the street so I can sell them. Of course you wouldn't. We understand, dearest. Please don't assume that we jumped to such a trivial conclusion. Hannibal spoke soothingly, his right hand's fingers now stroking through the strands of your hair while he did his best to calm you down. Though a few minutes later, the intellectual male turned towards Stu and shifted his attention over to him. Hannibal's previous, passionate actions leaving your cheeks to glow a dark, heavy pink as your heartbeat decided to accelerate exponentially. Thank you for your generous offer, but we'll take it from here. Rejecting Stu's previous offer that was obviously intended for you, Hannibal flashed him a fake smile and gestured for Mikhail to take the good guy box, the stalker tearing it away from Stu and holding it almost at once. We were asking YN, not you freaks. Billy viciously snapped, gritting his teeth before he gripped his hands tightly together too. So back off already. Mikhail just wanted to help me out, that's all. You blurted out in distress, preventing Hannibal from provoking everybody even further and then having both Mikhail, Norman, Billy, and Stu all end up attacking each other. I'll see you guys on Sunday. You don't want to hang out tomorrow? Billy questioned with an insatiable amount of disappointment, his gaze now gleaming gloomily as he glanced down on the ground. Sorry, but I'm spending time with Jason tomorrow, you admitted loyally, remembering that you spent days with him on Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Saturdays. I spent every other day at Camp Crystal Lake, stalking me for the last couple weeks. You should know / remember that. So they forced you to create a schedule, just so they could wreck your so-called freedom even more? Stu mentioned sulkily, bringing up what you'd promised Jason before throwing it immediately back into your face. That's not it at all. I made it, not the others. You defended your partners icily, sending them a dark glare and causing them to become off guard. I created said plan, so Jason felt less lonely, not because I was coerced into anything. But that just gives you less free time. I don't understand. Billy's heated argument weakened, his gripped hands and angry twitching making him emotionally unstable again. Let's just leave it alone, bro. We don't have the numbers to start something right now. Stu murmured into Billy's ear cautiously, placing one hand on his shoulder and attempting to move him a step back or two. But besides, we'll see YN on Sunday, right? Carefully double-checking with you, Stu looked back in your direction and away from Billy's, both 18-year-olds continuing to show massive amounts of salt. Yeah, you will. You wearily promised, showing them another strained smile while also keeping everyone's composure under control. Luckily, your steady effect calmed the slashers down, waving at them both when Stu eventually managed to steer Billy away from the house, both stalkers waving at you in return before they finally left the slasher's domain. Chapter 36. Free Time Fun. Turning towards Mikhail, you tucked a strand of hair behind your ear and wondered what you would say about the good guy doll, his curious gaze flicking over to you at the very same time as you picked up on his instant suspicion. I'm not lying, you told him truthfully, trying to pacify the pale-masked stalker and calm him down. I really did find it in an alleyway on the way home. I'm not sure why it was there, but I just... Don't worry. A Norman reassured you in a cheerful and bubbly tone, holding you by the hand while leading you into the house. Then he glanced in the direction of Mikhail, acting unusually superior. We believe you, YN, right, Mikhail? You'd never disbelieve YN, now would you? Before you could cut in and stop the dark-haired male from continuing, Mikhail wrenched his trusty kitchen knife out from his boiler suit and gripped it menacingly with his right hand, still managing to hold the good guy doll's box with his left without any trouble whatsoever. I know he wouldn't. You panicked a couple minutes later, Norman and Mikhail coldly glaring at each other. Was you worried about the fast-growing tension, would you? Shaking his head softly, Mikhail answered your question, his response sincere and honest as he happily appreciated your first reply to Norman. Mikhail, why don't you take that to Ryan's room for her? Sensing how relaxed the stalker had suddenly become around you, Hannibal calmly stepped in and stopped them from both fighting over you any further. You're holding it, after all. Are you sure it's not too heavy for you? You fretted anxiously, watching Mikhail tuck his weapon back in his pocket so he could carry the box with both hands instead of with just his left arm. I mean, I wouldn't want to cause you any more trouble or anything, all because I found a silly old doll. Ryan, dearest, relax. Hannibal soothingly spoke, placing a hand on your shoulder and giving it a very soft squeeze. You saw Mikhail hold it with just his left hand. That box's weight means nothing to him. You have absolutely nothing to worry about. Yeah, I guess you're right. Thanks for the reassurance. Feeling less stressed, you flashed the psychiatrist a soft smile and headed inside first. Norman sticking to your side, sulkily. Miguel carrying the box behind you, and then Hannibal entering last, shutting the front door behind everyone else with his usual pleasant persona. I'll be right back. I just have to take my bag upstairs and then I'll start with dinner. You told Norman and Hannibal at the bottom of the stairs, not wanting Norman to strike up another conflict if he interacted with Miguel again. Of course. Take care, mia cara. Hannibal politely smiled, tilting his thumb and forefinger underneath your chin and placing an extremely delicate kiss against your lips. A presto, mi amor. I love you too. You shyly stammered, not understanding anything but the last part as you felt your heart skip a beat. You don't want me to come up with you? Norman asked almost pleadingly, desperation dripping from his tone whilst he clutched his hands together against his chest. All I have to do is replace a few psychology books for Monday and then put my bag away. No big deal. I'll be back downstairs before you know it, okay? Comforting Norman the best you could, you shot him a kind-hearted smile, and then headed upstairs into your bedroom, your smile widening after you shut the door behind you. What are you still doing in here? Thought you'd immediately come down after you'd brought the toy back up here. You messed around with a slight smirk, releasing a light laugh once you dropped your back onto the floor and warmly approached Mikhail, holding his shoulders while you let him drag you into an overly obsessive bear hug. Seriously, how ungentlemanlike. Amusement danced across Mikhail's gaze, leaning his forehead against yours as his arms wrapped around you tightened. The possessive slasher pulling you closer towards him via your waist a split second later. You know I love you, you playfully hummed, your hands curling around his neck once he'd done so. However, when you release a sigh, sending him a sad smile and becoming hesitant. But I don't have enough time right now, Miguel. I'm sorry. The others will grow suspicious. I have to cook dinner and... Before he could finish, Miguel used his free hand to pull the bottom of his mask up and kiss you passionately, shock spreading across your face like wildfire as your entire body became stunned. It's not that you didn't want to spend some time with Miguel. It was just that you didn't want to cause any more conflict with any of them. Set any of them off, as it were. Though, still, guess it wouldn't hurt to spend a little time alone with one of your partners. You can always count it as your freedom, right? So, shaking your head teasingly, you kissed Miguel back and carried on with the kiss, enjoying the arm curled around your waist whilst you kept on hugging his neck. His brown eyes were unbelievably beautiful, glowing with not only adoration and affection, but now tinges of lust too. Was he thinking of... You didn't even need to finish theorizing. The quiet male leaning you backwards and forcing you to lie fully down on your bed. I swear you're going to get yourself killed by the others one day. You murmured devilishly into his ear, his seductive kissing and tender touches making you feel lustful and flirtatious yourself. And it's going to be all because of me. I know it. Miguel shook his head lovingly, removing his mask entirely so he could hold you with both arms. A soft gasp escaped your mouth, taken aback by just how attractive he truly was. Because not only were his chocolate-colored eyes lovely, the rest of his face was enchanting as well. Miguel, you whispered in surprise, pressing your hands against his cheeks while the two of you now leaned down, cuddled next to one another as he wrapped his arms around you yet again. You're really handsome. Pleased by your sweet compliment, your partner grew excessively more excited, his next kiss now completely filled with love and obsession. Look, I'm grateful for you bringing that box toy up here for me and everything, but I really have to get dinner ready, you know? Interrupting the mesmerizing moment, you remembered about the others and gave Mikhail a gentle kiss back, before sitting up and swinging your legs over to the other side of the bed. Stubbornly, the selfish slasher disagreed, shaking his head and gripping your wrist. his hand pulling you back without a second thought as you sighed, already expecting this type of response from him. You knew that we'd only have a certain amount of time together, and you knew that I'd have to cook dinner at some point. So don't don't do this. You talked to Miguel sternly, softening up when you saw the disappointment sparkle in his dark eyes. Please? We'll have plenty of time together at the dinner table, and we'll be together tonight. After I take my shower and change clothes, you're still allowed to watch me. Excuse me. We'll have plenty of time together at the dinner table, and we'll be together tonight. After I've taken my shower and changed clothes. You're still not allowed to watch me during my shower. Understand? Letting go of your wrist, Mikhail stood up and moved over to the other side of your bed, writing down his answer before instead of speaking. As much as I'd love to, I understand. I would never disobey you, Ryan. You are my everything. I will do anything for you, absolutely anything. So if you want me to stay away during your shower times, I will. I swear on my life. Thank you. I appreciate that. You thanked him with a caring attitude, passing Mikhail his notepad back and throwing him a loving smile at the same time. I trust you. So please, can't you trust that this won't be the last time that we spend together? We spend time together? Like this? Lowering his head, he frustratingly agreed. Mikhail slipping his mask back on before disappearing from sight and leaving you alone with your thoughts. Yep, you definitely saw that coming. Chapter 37. I'm Switzerland. Releasing a soft sigh of relief, you grew grateful for a couple of minutes, pleased that he was going to at least wait for you downstairs. Well, until Penny greeted you upstairs instead, the killer clown bringing you into a cuddle of his own before wrapping his arms around you tenderly. I missed you today, he commented adoringly, stroking your hair with his right hand while he continued hugging you at the same time. I missed you as well, you warmly replied, enjoying Penny's loving embrace whilst also wrapping your arms around him. It's good to see you again. You were later than usual. Pennywise pointed out casually, leaning his forehead against yours as he grew curious than usual. What took you so long? I found something on my way back. Ended up bringing it home, you told him lightly, resting your head against his chest as he kept on hugging you. Billy and Stu helped me take it home. Then Mikhail carried it into my bedroom for me. Oh, what is it? The clownish killer quizzically questioned, confusion glowing across his gaze while your answer ended up piquing his interest a moment or two later. It's nothing much, you gently answered, amused by Pennywise's interest as you raised your finger towards the good guy box and decided to explain it that way. Just a toy that I found in the alleyway. That's all. Surprising. He brought up teasingly. Surprising, right? He brought up teasingly, placing his hands on top of your shoulders whilst his glance followed your finger and looked in your direction. I didn't think you'd be interested in such a childish toy like that. Well, I'm not really, you awkwardly responded, feeling embarrassed by his sly expression and playful behavior. I thought it was cute. Decided to bring it back in order to recycle, for anyone who might want it at the university, in case of nostalgia or something. Interesting. Penny hummed in a mischievous fashion, intrigued by what you brought back home with you. You brought back a toy doll that you found in an alleyway somewhere. Yeah, Billy and Stu told me it's something called a good guy doll. You remarked breezily, returning Pennywise's hug and curling both arms around him a second time. Like I said, it's no big deal, just a children's toy that I found in a thin passageway. All of a sudden, Pennywise's expression darkened, losing his amused attitude as he decided to glare instead. No, it's a massive deal. The clown argued with a twisted tone, tightening his hold on you while he kept on glancing at the doll. Something's not right. Something's wrong with it. Wrong with it? What is? Penny, what's wrong? You wondered nervously, looking over at said toy and becoming timid. I don't understand. I mean, look at it. There's not a single scratch or dent on that thing. Maybe to you, sweetie. Pennywise retaliated wickedly, pressing his lips against your cheek as the conversation went on, but never judge a book by its cover. Well, what's the matter with it, then? Excuse me. Well, what's the matter with it, then? You anxiously asked, accepting his hug and letting him steer you to the back of your bedroom by your waist. What's the problem? God damn it. You heard Pennywise mutter to himself in irritation. The killer clown rolling his eyes and calling somebody else out. Kruger? Had a good night's sleep, princess? A familiar voice drawled out devilishly. A certain dream demon popping into reality and out of the dream world. You could stand to be at least a little bit nicer to me, you know? This isn't about your hurt feelings right now, dream demon, nor is it about your self-confidence or lack of skills. Pennywise viciously taunted, flashing him an evil smirk as a response, therefore sparking up a confrontation. Oh, you really don't want to start up a fight right now? Freddy flared back in return, holding his finger knives while also leaning against your bedroom wall and narrowing his eyes himself, if anything. You want to be careful about what you say to me, bitch. If I asked you to wait downstairs with everyone else, would you? Pennywise quizzed out inside curiosity, switching personality within a few seconds by frowning and acting unusually concerned. What? No! You literally just told me that I brought back a corrupted children's toy home with me, you uneasily exclaimed, internally freaking out and feeling more fear by the second. Why would I leave a corrupted item upstairs, here, when I know it's been tampered with? Of course not. Scooping you into another hug, Penny sighed, shaking his head whilst shooting the demonic slasher a possessive glance straight afterwards. Kruger? Mind double-checking? Because that doll is no ordinary doll. I think that you'd know better than anyone, dream demon. Let me get this straight. You called me out to check out a doll? Freddy complained with a furious voice, releasing a laugh of disbelief before taking a step or two backwards towards said object. It doesn't even look broken. See? You bursted out with a superior manner, behaving faintly smug as you said it with Freddy. It doesn't even look broken. Motherfucker, I don't have time for this. You can sense the soul power lingering in it. Pennywise informed him fiercely, watching Freddy pick the doll up and carelessly spin it over in his hold. You can, the others can't. You've always had some sort of strange and bizarre connection to my world that I've never been able to understand, more so than Earth. Soul power? I don't understand. What does soul power do? You unhappily prodded, looking up at him with a puzzled gleam and questioning his overall explanation. Oh, you're going to love this, honey. Freddy purred flirtatiously, blowing you a kiss after studying the good guy doll over and over in his grasp. Believe me. Love it? Why? Are you seriously telling me that I'd actually be interested in keeping a toy that I found in an alleyway somewhere? You sarcastically spoke, startled by what he was attempting to say to you. She's not going to like this, you prick. Penny snapped sharply, gritting his teeth and shifting over to his dark self yet again. So go and speak to... If you think that I'm just going to talk to the others and drop this doll, you're wrong. Freddy rejected Pennywise's words almost at once, striding towards the clown and swinging his gloved hands in his general direction. Hey, hey, hey! You shouted in distress, darting in between them and, in the end, still trying your hardest to calm the situation down. Stop! I'm tired of this. Standing disapprovingly, you held your hands out and prevented them from moving altogether, stopping a fight from happening and forcing another argument. From now, I'm on Switzerland, okay? You're a country? Pennywise is repeated with a blank expression, surprised by your sudden quote and peculiar words. It's just a phrase, dumbass. The dream demon interrupted irritably, shrugging off your prior comment before losing interest and dropping the poor childish toy box. It's probably nothing special anyway. Looks like somebody crafted the last of its kind. Wyan, everything all right? You're still coming down for dinner, are you? Hesitantly, Norman called you out, giving a respectful and regardful knock after he'd asked his extremely polite question. I mean, if you're not hungry or anything, I understand sometimes, but I don't always feel that way, you know. It'll pass. Of course, I'm hungry for dinner. You laugh wildly, flinging your door open as you finish snatching Pennywise's wrist. The new toy that I found, I didn't expect it to be so clean and uncluttered. Girl, if anybody told me that the doll I collected had anything to do with a soul or soul power, girl, or like just anything that involves more spiritually and dream demon type of stuff, hand that right over to the dream, hand that right back to the alleyway where it came from. I'd be like, right back to where you came from. You do not need to be here, nor do you belong here. I am so fresh out of the box. I'm so good. Anyways, guys. So we have a new character. We have a new character involved now. Just boom, bam, boom, I guess. So what do you guys think? What do you guys think is gonna happen in the next couple of chapters? Will something terrible happen, or just something out of the blue? You let me know in the comments down below. But yeah, that I just couldn't. I can't tell you just how much I would not get a doll off the alleyway unless, like, by a miracle, it'd be one of my like favorite dolls I've always wanted, like a Monster High doll, or like one of those like LOL doll, not what's it called, Rainbow High dolls. Excuse me, not the LOL dolls. I hate the LOL dolls, but like Rainbow High dolls or like Monster High, maybe just a little bit, but like any other doll, heck nah, heck nah. I don't know what insisted in her mind that we needed this doll, but I just hope it was really worth it. Hopefully no problems arise, but I severely doubt that. Anyways, guys, just let me know what you guys think is gonna happen. Anywho, sadly, your girl sadly goes to go, but before I leave, hopefully this post does get out soon. But basically in the communities, I posted about 3 votes. So please go and vote on which story I should be reading next, or stories, because there's a Dr. Smiley one, I believe a Tiki Toby one, and another one, but I cannot remember it at the top of my head. So please go out and vote as soon as you can. I usually end votes in 2 weeks time, so I can make sure everyone has voted. So please go and do the votes, guys. There may be some more votes, just depending whether or not I've decided to either make the specifically suggested stories like votes, or just read them all, or just read like a few. I have not decided that yet, but it will be decided soon. I did post about that in the community as well. So for more information, always look back into the communities. They will be the most updated of my decisions. So anywho, guys, sadly your girl's gotta go. I hope you guys like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell for more amazing videos, guys. If you guys have any suggestions of specific stories you'd like me to read, or just a generalized area of fanfics you would like me to read, please then comment them down below. I do screenshot and save them so I can start looking for them. So before you think I haven't looked for some, or I haven't like seen any suggestions, trust me, I've been trekking through the deep pounds of the comments, and I've been looking. Don't you guys worry. But if you do have any new suggestions, or etc., 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 or specific stories you'd like to suggest, please let me know in the comments down below, with link or full title or author if possible. Please and thank you, guys. I shall see y'all in the next video. Bye and peace, y'all.